How many of you have heard of molecular cuisine, or molecular gastronomy? How many of you have actually tried it? It just doesn't sound appealing. Is it good?
Yeah.
It is? Yes, that was a definitive yes. Okay. But not only is he involved in food, but he's also involved in cocktails. He's going to be coming out with a book very shortly. I'd like to introduce Dave Arnold.
Thank you. All right, thanks very much. First of all, good lead-in. Molecular does sound disgusting. Please don't refer to anyone's cooking as molecular unless you absolutely hate it. No one wants to eat. No one wants to go out for molecular food. It doesn't. It's just gross. It's awful. Unfortunately, until very recently, there hasn't been any other terms, and so when reporters would ask, "Well, what the hell do you want me to call it?" Just like a douchebag in a high school band, like, "Well, I don't want to be labeled at all, man," and so they end up labeling you with molecular gastronomy. Recently, there's been Modernist Cuisine, the huge book that's come out in the last year, and some people have started calling it modernist. Now. So what I do, in general, is try to think of new techniques, technologies, and ingredients that help make things taste better or to achieve new effects that I couldn't otherwise achieve. And a lot of times this leads to what you think it might lead to, which is stuff that looks kind of wacky or different. This is two kinds of fish. Here's all the different kind of like tech. Oh yeah, that's the on deck line. Okay, this is the kind of all the tech stuff I did in here. I use a product called Meat Glue Transglutaminase to take two different colors of fish. This one's hake and salmon. Laminate them together, slice them in a kind of a redoing of a Japanese metalworking technique called mokumegane. And then I pressure cook some mustard seeds so they taste like caviar. I use dehydrators, liquid nitrogen to powder some herbs. Boop, beep, boop, 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 boop. It's good, it's delicious, right? But it's a lot of work, and this is what people think of when they're thinking about new techniques, or something kind of like more like Franken turkey here, which is a bird I did before, where I was like, how can I make the best damn turkey in the whole world? The answer is to rip out its skeleton, make a new skeleton out of aluminum, and pipe hot butter and oil through the bird where there used to be a skeleton, dip that sucker in oil to finish it off, then deep fry the outside of that guy and serve it on the Thanksgiving table. Delicious damn turkey. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. Most of what I do is actually very, very simple stuff. So what I have been thinking about very, very deeply for the past 7 years is the gin and tonic, which is an important thing in my life especially. Here's my dad in 1974 mixing up some gin and tonics. And he was an old Bombay, before there was Bombay Sapphire, like old real Bombay. Anyway. So what happened is he would mix himself a gin and tonic, and he'd give me tonic water, right? And so I grew up loving that like super bubbly tonic water. And I remember I would drink it with my dad, and I was so badass because my dad was having the gin and tonic, and I was having the tonic water. And then when I got old enough to actually have a gin and tonic, I was like, this sucks, because it either didn't have enough gin in it, and I like the taste of gin. I'm not one of these guys that doesn't like the taste of alcohol. Or it didn't have enough bubbles because it was watered down with too much gin. And so one of the first things I started to work on when I started working on these kinds of problems is, well, how can I fix it? How can I make it better, right? So one of the things you need to work on, if you're really going to make your own gin and tonic, if you're really going to think about it, is carbonation. Turns out, this is the system that we use in the bar. By the way, I also have a bar, Booker and Dax. Booker and Dax, name of my two kids. That's how we came up with the name. If you ever have a bar or restaurant, don't ever read Yelp. Someone's like, Booker and Dax is a Yelpy name. I was like, that's my kids, I'll kill you if you come in and say that crap to me. Anyway, this is at our bar, Booker and Dax. This is how we're carbonating currently. I'm not 100% satisfied with this carbonation technique. Ask my wife, here's my kitchen table. My dinner table where I'm eating, and this is the kind of crap I have sitting around. Here's the new carbonation system I'm working on. So I'm not here to talk about carbonation because I'm just not there yet. I mean, at the bar it's good, but I haven't gotten to where I really want to be. Like, I can make you the best drink that I think I can make, but I can't do it a la minute in under 2.5 minutes, so I'm not exactly where I need to be. But what I am here to talk to you today about is the lime. And the lime is one of God's great creations. It's incredibly delicious. It's got to be one of the best citrus fruits there is, but it has to be fresh. This sucker is the hardest thing to try and keep delicious over a long period of time that you're ever going to deal with in your life. If you are the kind of person who thinks that the crap that you buy in a plastic bottle in your supermarket tastes like lime, take a hike now. This is not what we're talking about. This is a lime, and it must be fresh. Now, the problem is, if you want to add fresh lime juice to a gin and tonic, it causes too much foaming. You lose a lot. Who squeezed the lime into your gin and tonic and you see it gets all foamy and bubbly, right? Well, I didn't want to use citric acid like fake flavor in my tonic, right, when I was making it, right, because I'm making my own tonic, of course. I don't know where the hell I put it. Oh, yeah, because here's quinine. Like this is the stuff that has you glow in the club and also gives a bitter taste, right? So this is easy to purchase, quinine sulfate. I mean, it's expensive, but it's easy to purchase. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can kill your guests. I know what I'm doing, though. I won't kill you if you come to the bar, I promise. So that's pretty simple. But to get a fresh lime flavor in, you have to clarify it. And this is clarified lime juice. This is what lime juice looks like when you take all of the cloudiness out of it, as opposed to this. This is fresh lime juice, okay? Now, again, if you don't clarify it, you just can't get that flavor that you want. Not to mention, I spend, years thinking about what the best juicing technique is. Turns out the hand job right now is my preferred method over the machine job. For this reason, but I'm not talking about that right now. I'm talking about clarification. So for years, and when I say years, maybe 8 years ago, 9 years ago, chefs started using a new form of clarification. And that form of clarification is called freeze-thaw. So what you'll do is, and this is grapefruit juice. We use this for another one of my favorites at the bar, gin and juice, which is carbonated. It's what I drink when I go have a drink. We freeze it solid with a little bit of gelatin is how they would do it. And then you thaw it out, and the next picture I'm going to show you is not grapefruit, it's actually stock, but it works the same way. You get this clarified, you go from cloudy to clear. Problem is you have to freeze it and thaw it, and that takes a couple of days, by which your lime juice is what? It's what? It's crap. It's not fresh, right? It's crap. So you need a new technique. So I started using this thing called a rotary evaporator, which is a vacuum still. And so then what I would do is I would distill the flavor of the fresh lime juice, right? But then, and by the way, it turned out that this ended up being another 7-year trek of learning how to distill properly, especially with our freaking laws in this country. I've had to jump through plenty of hoops. If you have a day, come to the bar, we'll talk about all the hoops I've had to jump through. But one of the main problems is when you're distilling, there's all these flavor components that you need to capture, which is very difficult to do with legal distillation with water. And furthermore, I would need to add the acids and sugar back to the lime juice to have it taste like real lime juice again. I learned a boatload, a crap load about the different acids that are in it, and I can make a pretty passable lime soda with nothing real in it, but it's not what I'm looking to do. Anyway, so this was a bust, also because it costs like $10,000, and I'm the only guy that knows how to run it at the bar. Nightmare, complete nightmare. So then I turned to these enzymes. This is apple juice. And enzymes can do a great job of clarifying things because they break down the pectin inside and allow all the crap to settle to the bottom. Now, it's not 100% great here because you see how we're losing a lot of that apple juice, right? So then I bought a centrifuge. Now, when you're using a centrifuge to spin stuff down, right, your yields are very high, which is very, very good. And this is running right now at our bar because we use this thing 24/7. Like this is actually a piece of equipment that's going to be in more bars, as we go forward. So anyway, the yield was great. Problem is that limes, right? This is the centrifuge that everyone gets. Everyone, like the three of us. The one that we get because it's relatively cheap. I buy them on eBay for almost nothing and fix them because I'm handy. And then, they don't take up too much space, but they only do about 4,000 times the force of gravity. And when you're only doing 4,000 times the force of gravity, you can't spin fresh lime juice. Turns out, you need like 48,000 times the force of gravity. And for that, you need to be Nathan Myhrvold billionaire rich, not, Dave Arnold scraping his crap together poor. So, not poor, but you know what I mean, not Nathan Myhrvold rich. So anyway, I needed to do something else because my lime juice wasn't clarifying. So I came up with another technique a couple of years ago called quick agar clarification, where I set the lime juice in a gel very quickly, break it, and then I clarify it out and I get clear juice. Boom, awesome. And this is the technique that I still teach people. This is what I was using for a long time to get really clear lime juice. But the yield is not so great, and it's just not, it's not. So it turns out that if you do a little more investigating, I can use a centrifuge now because it turns out if you take wine clarifying agents, the crap that's in the lime juice that won't clarify out is charged. It's a charged particle. So if you add this red stuff, Keselsol has a negative charge. I add the enzyme too, get it as much as I can. And the reason the enzyme's not working, I forgot to mention this, pH, too low, too acidic. Enzyme doesn't like it. So that's why it wasn't working with the enzyme in the centrifuge. So what you do is you add this stuff with a negative charge, and the positively charged crap inside the lime juice aggregates and starts flocking together, right? Turns out that's not enough. So I have to then add the blue crap, which is positively charged, to get the now negatively charged crap to flock together. Turns out that is not always enough, so I have to add more of the red crap to it, and then it flocks together, and then you get clear lime juice. And this stuff carbonates well, and this is what we use in all of our carbonated drinks at the bar. Now, a lot of people come and they ask me to clarify stuff for them because, in case you haven't noticed, I think about this crap a lot. Now, the problem with it is you become enamored with a new technique, a new idea, and so you try to use it in everything. Here is, I bought one of those fake microscopes for my kids, stole it, started using it. These are pictures of shaken drinks magnified, I forget what, like 50 times or something like that. You can buy this crap on Amazon now for like $30. It's crazy. And this is what drinks look like when you're viewing them. And you notice that a standard shaken drink has lots of, in its microstructure, little bubbles. And if you use clarified lime juice in a shaken drink, right, it turns out that it tastes flat. It doesn't taste like a shaken drink anymore. That for a shaken drink, as opposed to a carbonated drink, good old-fashioned lime juice is really where you want to be. So now, even though for years I've been like Captain Clarification for people, I now have to go around teaching people that even though I just taught you to clarify, you don't want to use clarified lime juice in everything you do, specifically daiquiris. You don't want to use it in a daiquiri, which is one of God's great drinks as well. Daiquiri is a fine, fine drink. And so with that, I'll go into a use of fresh lime juice really quick on the way out, because this is something I just learned today, right? So this is like if you're always working, just learned it today. It's kind of a standard liquid nitrogen chef trick to take herbs, freeze them in liquid nitrogen, put them in a blender, and you get these powdered herbs. See how finely powdered the herbs are when they're on their plate? That's like liquid nitrogen chef 101 crap. Right? And it's right there, and it's great. And I was thinking, man, I'd love to get this into the bar. And so I developed a technique where you take the liquid nitrogen, you muddle Thai basil, and it was the liquid nitrogen I thought that was making it so awesome. It turns out, though, that I knew from the get-go that if you take herbs and you put them into something and you smash them up, and then you let them thaw out, they turn brown and crappy because of the enzymes in the leaves keep on going. Everyone's seen a crappy pesto, right? You all seen a crappy pesto? Good. Still with me. But in a chef way to do it is we would blanch the herbs beforehand. But when you blanch the herbs, you're killing some of the freshness of the herb. You're killing it. You're wiping it out. And in a drink, especially a Thai basil daiquiri, you want that punch of fresh Thai basil. You don't want it to be blanched at all. But thank Christ, what happens is if you add the alcohol to it right away before it thaws, right, the alcohol plus the ascorbic acid and the lime juice that we've been talking about keeps it fresh and green. So at the bar for the past, month, we've been muddling stuff with liquid nitrogen. And then this lady from the Wall Street Journal calls me and says, hey, we need a, this is how everything in the world works. Someone calls you from the newspaper, it's like, hey, I need a cocktail for like the folks at home that they can do. And I'm like, well, so I guess they don't have liquid nitrogen, they don't have this and that. So I was like, to hell with it, I'm just going to blend the damned basil. So this is what I'm saying, like you get so complicated in your head, you're so tweaked out on the crap that you do every day that you don't look around and think about what's actually going on. You don't actually question your own practice. And like, I don't know whether this works in what you guys do for a living, but when you're cooking, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, anyway, so I just blended this stuff in a blender. And it was beautiful. It was delicious. I mean, I'll show you how to do it now on the way out. Hold on a second. Where'd the stand go for this? So, I don't have a decent blender. Do this with a stand blender. You don't really want to do it with one of these hand blenders because it doesn't get the herbs exactly how you want them. Hold on a second. Okay. And also, it's hard to do it. I didn't plan very well. I should put that way. If you can tell, I'm not so much with the planning. Thai basil, which is a pain in the butt to work with because it's very fragile. You want about 9 good-sized leaves of Thai basil. I mean, listen, if you're not a cook and you don't care about this stuff, you're not going to be as freaked out about this as I was. But I was like, yeah. And from here on out, it's pretty much a standard daiquiri. We're going to put in 2 ounces of rum, Florida Cognac. I'm going to spill a little bit on your bench. Remember, we're using the fresh, unclarified lime juice. Why am I still holding this lime? All right, a little bit over 1/4 of an ounce of this guy.
We're not going to blow up, are we?
No, but you might die.
It's okay, he's got an MFA.
And then about 1/4 of an ounce of simple syrup. I have actually, like if you go to my bar, there's a picture from the closest I ever got to getting divorced where I lit myself on fire while my wife was taking pictures back when I was getting my MFA. It went up in the bar actually before I was involved in that because I wouldn't put a picture of myself up because it's crazy, I'm not a boxer. But anyway, a pinch of salt is also, yeah, I like that people get the boxer bar reference. A pinch of salt is a secret to a lot of these citrus-based cocktails. And again, this is not an ideal blending situation. Come on now, is it getting green? This thing should be Kermit green. Like, not even, like makes Kermit look not green. Now the problem with this blender, you see how it's whipping oxygen in? Even with the lime juice in here and the fact that the alcohol is preventing the enzymes from working, you're going to get, because of the immense amount of oxygen being whipped in, you're going to get some loss of the super fresh flavor. So you're going to want to do this, if I was you, I would do this in doubles for you and your friend and or date. And I would do it in a real, honest-to-God stand blender, so you could get it blended very fast without having to worry about whipping too much air into it. And you're also going to get the leaves much finer. And I forgot to leave Son of a. Hey, that's good. I needed that. I was like, I'm not going to get ice on your base. Well, I mean, you have to, I'll tell you what, I'll treat you if you come to the bar. I'm not exactly sure I'm going to be so proud of this one because I'm making it on a bench. Okay, you want to add ice?
He's like Gulliver, little piece.
Now, also, if you come to the bar, and this one really is a good idea, we chill our glasses with liquid nitrogen. I couldn't take the liquid nitrogen from them during service because then I'd be a bad boss. You're going to shake. Your shaking style, I could spend another 2 hours talking to you about your shaking style. The answer is don't worry about it. As long as you shake it for that relative amount of time, no matter how you are, unless you're incredibly lazy, slow with the shake, you're going to be all right. Put the sucker through one of these strainers. Again, this is on the floor, which is why I'm not going to serve it to you, although I will drink it. You'll come to my bar and then you'll have one. Now, this isn't as green as the one up there. Again, blending technology, not 100%, but still, for the average drink that you're making, that's green and fresh and Thai basil. Boom. Okay, so that's it. All right. Is that 15 minutes, roughly?
It doesn't matter.
That was awesome.
Perks.
It's okay. It's not my best. Don't judge. Come to the bar.
I will come to the bar.
We get a taste?
Now, you know, I feel bad normally. Like it's hard. Next time I'll do a taste out. I like to do taste out in demos, especially before I have the bar, because it's very easy for a cook or for a chef to show up and say that, you know, this or that or this is really fantastic or awesome, and you know, no one's tasting, so there's no way to know what the hell it tastes like. You know what I mean? And I think that's bullshit, frankly. And so, like, I try to taste stuff out, but this time I couldn't. Next time I will.
Where's your restaurant?
Okay, so if you've ever been to Dave Chang's Sambar, we're Booker and Dax is the bar next to where Milk Bar used to be on 13th Street and 2nd Avenue. Just in from the corner on the southwest. Yeah, Booker and Dax at Sambar. Again, don't make any cracks about the name of my kids. I'll take you down.
No doubt.
Are you sure that you were drinking the tonic when you were a kid?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they might have slipped me a little something to keep me mellow, but.
A couple of quick questions. Who's got questions? There's one.
So I got really stoked at the beginning of molecular astronomy, and I hacked my crock pot, put a pin in so I could do sous vide. And then after maybe 3 months of experimentation, I stopped. And my curiosity is how you think this tremendously complex scientific stuff is going to make it into like a mod-pop kitchen someday.
Okay, question was basically, I'll paraphrase if people can't hear you. I took a crock pot. This is a standard thing that people like us do, right? I mean, not standard, I mean, whatever, you know what I mean, like in my world, whatever. Anyway, took a crock pot, put what's called a PID on it, which is a special a temperature controller. That's very accurate temperature control. And the reason you want to do that is the temperature's not going to go over, not going to go under, it just goes bang. So your oven is like boop, 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 like a porpoise. This is like bang, right? And so you do that and you can get very accurate temperature control. The problem, and the reason why I don't think you stuck with it, is a crock pot is a crappy mechanism to do it. It's too small, it doesn't have circulation, and when a party comes over, how the hell are you going to serve 15 people out of your crock pot? Am I right?
Well, that's a subset of the question, like every cook's dilemma, right?
Right.
Which is that to cook for 1 or 2 in a New York apartment, like it's not necessarily worth your time. If you're cooking for a family, it's the same amount of hours to cook for 15. And I have a little Manhattan apartment.
I'm with you on the Manhattan apartment. Remember, I live in the Lower East. I can walk home from here, right? And I got 2 kids in a tiny apartment. Of course, this is what I do for a living, so it's a little disingenuous. But I'll give you an example. The issue right now is it's hard for someone to go buy what you would go buy if you didn't want to. If you weren't a DIY guy, you'd want to go to Williams-Sonoma and purchase a thing called an immersion circulator. It's $800. Now, the average person at home right now doesn't have the education to allow them to get the full use out of that sucker. Let's say you were going to have a party and you were going to cook steak. If you were going to cook steak and you were going to get real badass steaks, thick rib steaks, right? First of all, you'd be nervous as hell because you just shelled out $300 for steaks for the 15 people that are coming over, and you want those damn things to be delicious, right? Okay, and you also want to not be sweating bullets because you're worried that you're going to over and undercook it and you're going to hear kind of complaints. And even if they say it's delicious, if you eat it and you know it's not the exact way you want to be it, you're going to feel like crap all the next day, right? Right. So if you get a circulator, right, here's what kind of a baller rock star you can be. You can drop the steaks in that circulator, hang out with your friends, drink wine, and then exactly 2 minutes before they want to sit down on the table, you flash those suckers off in a frying pan, they're on the table, you're a genius, and you do that twice, you just pay for the circulator. You know what I mean? So it's there. It's just not quite there yet for most people. It will be there. Where no one's gonna look. If you live in the suburbs and you have a swimming pool and you have kids, go buy liquid nitrogen because there's nothing in the world more fun than that. But I mean, some of this stuff is gonna make it into our kitchens. Oops, sorry. Did that answer or not?
Well, you can follow it up after. Let's get one more question. There.
For the first part, when you like, what about clarifying with agar and like a filtration system or a centrifuge?
Okay, first part of the question was, why not do agar clarification in the centrifuge? So Nastasha here...
Or just like a straining sheet.
Right, so when I strain with agar, the problem is the yield, and there's an art to it. Like, you have to know what you're doing. And when I teach people, they always mess it up and they squeeze the sack too hard and the agar comes out of the sack. I swear to God, this is how I get you to remember. I'm like, massage the sack. Don't squeeze too hard on the sack, right? And they remember that because they're like, oh, massage the sack. But it's like, but there's a skill to it. And when you try to agar in the centrifuge, it works, but it's a big sloppy mess. Ask Nastasha, who refuses to do it anymore. So when we came up with this other technique that just uses these 2 ingredients, I also no longer have to heat. I no longer have to set a gel. It just gets rid of a lot of problems where there could be error, and it takes my yield from 66% or 70% of the lime juice recovered to 98%. So I have to juice less, it's faster, it tastes slightly different. Different clarification techniques have different taste profiles. So when you're clarifying grapefruit juice in a centrifuge versus agar, the centrifuge is slightly more bitter, slightly more like regular grapefruit juice. So you have to add a little bit of simple syrup, whereas when you agar clarify with grapefruit juice, you do not. So there's lots of things, and again, like anything else, like life is about learning why you're doing things and practicing all the time. And I guess the whole point that I didn't even mention, but the whole point of my life is that no matter how small a thing in the world you're focusing on, there is richness if you focus deep enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Right.
I think that's a great place to leave it. That was deep philosophy there. So, Dave, thank you. That was fantastic. Dave Arnold, everyone.